Welcome, my beautiful, gorgeous beans of light to the Nic and Bean Unscripted. Yeah,
I'm Beanie.
I'm Nic.
We're going to take you on a journey of conversations that includes things like purple unicorns, aliens, real life stuff, and everything in between.
We can't wait to see where these conversations take us, because I can guarantee you they're going to get pretty cray-cray.
Well, with you in the room, Nicola, anything can happen.
That is true. Thank you for joining us on our journey. If you have any input that you want to add to this channel, we would love to hear from you. In the meantime, let's get the show on the road. Phew. Welcome, friends, to round 6 of the good old round six. We've got a bunch of Kiwis here today. We're going to introduce Krystie in a minute, but thank you for joining us. We're talking all things important today, and that is capital S-H-I-T, shit.
Not in a bad way, but in a poo way.
Yeah. Krystie is across this. She runs her own Colonics Therapy Studio, Gravity,
in Brisbane.
Colon therapy, if you want. It all depends how you want to say it. In North Brisbane, and she's been doing that for 6 years. Is that right, Chris?
6 years there with their business, and she's been doing it for 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Was that back in NZ?
No. All in Australia.
Yeah. How long have you been here, babe?
15 years now.
Right, you're fair dinkum Aussie now, babe.
Kiwi bonding happening right here.
Yeah.
Bonding over poo and Kiwis.
So I raised the flag of wanting to talk about this really important topic today because, as you would have it, I was doing a shit one day, not that long ago, probably not long after I text you.
What kind of shit?
I thought to myself,
what kind of shit was it first?
It was actually it was a proud shit, actually. It was a proud shit moment. I looked at it and I went, I've come a far way. I've come a long way. I was proud. I was looking at it. It was reasonably thick, not too chunky, like it was sluggish, like it had all the forms. And I didn't know a lot about shit, but I looked at it and I was proud as punch.
Fuck
and
yeah.
I thought, we need to talk about shit because
you could call it poo too.
We could talk it poo. What would you prefer today, babe?
Whatever you want.
Okay,
she's not caring.
She's not caring. So we'll call it shit or poop, whatever flows in the vernacular. But why I wanted to talk about it is because, first of all, it's not a topic that really people talk about at the table. Obviously, you, me, Beanie, yeah.
I like it talking about it so much. My sister wanted to make me a T-shirt saying I like talking about shit.
Yeah.
And you want to be a colon therapist? Best job ever.
Do I want to be?
Yeah, you sure? Sounds like you've got a calling.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see after this conversation.
Yeah. Well, so Beanie and I discovered this path of the importance of shit many, many years ago when we were running our health and wealth in studio. And Beanie was obviously the leader in this field of expertise. And it came back down to gut. And obviously, there's been lots of research and science about, diseases, what do they call it? That's very funny. Alzheimer's, huh?
I'm sorry, I thought you meant IBS. Yep, Alzheimer's.
IBS, Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, you name it. Gut is the storm. Yeah, is the storm of having it or not having it as one of the potential things. And so, whilst there's been lots of research in this area, we still don't really talk about it. And I wanted to kind of just bring it out in the open because I think we need to be talking about it. And I want to know, first of all, I guess, because it's quite a unique field, did you just kind of get a bit curious about it?
What made you get into it?
Yeah, so I was always constipated as a child. Like it was my normal to poo like once every week to 10 days.
Oh, wow.
And I never knew anything different. So I never talked about it to anyone. And then when I was 20, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And then I just went and got a colonic one day. I think I might have Googled like quick way to lose weight. Like I don't know how I stumbled across it. Went and had my first one, and it was on an open system. So there's different types of colonics, and an open system is where you're basically left on your own. you like insert this tiny tube, you sit in this bathtub, water flows into you and you're pushing out. So you end up with like shit all up the back of your legs. It's so rank.
What the fuck? Where is that still available? That sounds fucking torture.
It is still available. And I left, felt amazing. I shat myself in my car seat driving home because I was so full of water, and I was like driving home, trying to get home, and I was having the poo sweats, and I was like fucking holding my rectum in, like, keep it in, Krystie, keep it in. And then I just literally shat all over my driver's seat. I got home, I like ran inside, grabbed some towels, like it was rank.
That is
But
crazy.
from there,
yeah, you go.
Yep. So from there, I was like, I felt so amazing, like finally getting the shit cleared out of me. I went weekly for like 5 years.
Wow.
Honestly, weekly for 5 years?
Yep.
You felt that, I mean, just being constipated for that amount of time, you know, I guess you would feel fucking incredible because it's, you know, I guess you would have felt a big difference from what your stomach normally feels like and what your stomach felt like after, right?
Yeah, but before I had a colonic, like I never knew I could feel so much better. I was like, oh, that's just be how you must feel, you know?
Yeah. So you didn't know any different?
No.
But then once you felt that freedom, let's call it, we'll say that release and that freedom, then did it psychologically feel like anything? When you go back to something, it's like feeling bloated or something, I guess, is what I'm trying to explain. And then you get rid of it and you feel good. And when it comes back, it feels worse almost. Like, is that what happened? And you just went every week, I have to get out of this feeling, like, because
and basically
it could become addictive, right? Like if you like that feeling of that lightness, because most people don't feel that bogged down space until they're clean. And I don't say they're dirty otherwise, but I'm just saying, like, when you flush yourself, like I got I'm going to say an addiction to enemas, like at home. And I was testing every different thing that I could do health-wise. So I was like, okay, how many enemas are too many enemas? And it wasn't like more than like one a day necessarily, unless I felt like it didn't work. I'd have another crack at it. But like, it was this thing of like, I have to get clean. And I had other stuff going on inside my body. So I was trying to find the answer to that and heal it. But then I was like, I've got to be clean. Like, I've got to get it out,
Yeah, I was definitely addicted to them. And to a degree, like I probably still am. Like I have weekly colonics still because I own my own clinic now, and I became a therapist and started my own business because I didn't want to pay for them anymore. Like I would have spent tens of thousands of dollars on colonics.
Oh, absolutely.
But it was the only way I could poo, I couldn't do it my own. And I just felt so much relief after colonics.
I remember when I've had my own, they've said to me that I've got a lazy bowel. Now, I don't know if that's actually even true. Is that true? Is that possible that you can have a lazy bowel?
Like it is, because when you don't use it, you lose it like any muscle.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, I only found out that I was severely backed up or constipated because I was still regularly. The ironic thing about it all is that I was still doing, say, a poo a day. Like this is back in the day. But when I went and got an x-ray for something else that was totally not relevant, they actually said, oh, wow, you're really constipated. And I just was like, oh, well, that's fucking blows my mind because I felt absolutely normal. You're told that you should only be going to the toilet. From my information, going to the toilet once or twice if it's a really good day. Once if it is okay. But really, when you're eating a lot of fiber or when you're not eating a lot of fiber, your body can't excrete it, right? Am I on the money? Or
well, what happens is you can go every day, but you can be so backed up in your colon that you're eating food, the food goes in, pushes a little bit out the end, and that's just what happens. It's just like that domino effect. And you come and get a colonic, and then you realize you're at shit for 3 days and how constipated and lazy your bowel actually is.
Yeah.
Happens to so many clients.
We'll have like 3 meals generally in our intestines at any one time, right? Like one's coming in the small intestine, like through the stomach, small intestine, etc. Something's working its way through the bowel and something's about to come out, right? That's like depending, and correct me if I'm wrong, like from what I've been taught, like anywhere from 24 to 45 hours is like a full cycle of a digestive system generally.
Food should be out less than 28 hours. So 28 hours is like the key time.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like for me, like I know I'm probably, well, I don't know if I'm too soon. I don't think I'm too soon, but like I feel like I know that because we talk about it a lot, and I think it's a thing, right? Like, I mean, the Dalai Lama, since a little child, had his stools like looked at, and that's how they discern whether they're healthy or not constantly. You think about animals, they look at things in their poo, and kangaroos like are smelling the urine of their children and stuff like that, so they can turn around and say, you're missing this vitamin, like you can go and do this thing. I'm not saying that we should go and drink each other's urine, but
I didn't know that about kangaroos. That's amazing.
Yeah, you'll see them when the joey's like out, like, and it comes and it just has a little bit of a little tasty smell. And it's just doing it. But like cool. This is the thing, like they just do that natural. It's all natural because they go, well, poo tells 1,000 stories, right?
Yeah. The window to our health, yeah.
Like crazy. You good?
Well, I was just going to ask, in terms of optimizing your gut health, because I mean, we're going to have to talk about you putting your anus to the sun, because I fucking love that post. I was like, fuck yes, anus to the sun. This is my kind of chick. What, you know,
we're getting her on the show. Could you give us a demonstration, please, Krystie?
No.
Don't tell me.
Yeah. So what's your methodology with optimizing your gut health? Like, what's your principles?
Yeah, so most of us struggle with some kind of fungal overgrowth or parasite. So it's important that we need to get in there and weed the gut out. So stop taking any probiotics, stop eating any sugar, and take something like oregano oil to help kill everything off. And then you want to refeed and repopulate. But the most important thing is getting into a good bowel routine and nervous system. So if your nervous system is hijacked, then we're not going to be pooping properly. We're not going to feel safe to poo. So yeah, really important that we need to establish that good bowel routine and have so many strategies in our life, like sleep, hydration, like that all come into play for our gut.
And hydration is such a simple thing, isn't it? Like that's one of the things for me, like, because I know now my bowels are pretty good, like clockwork. So if I get to a certain point and I go, hang on, have I gone to the toilet today? And I go, I haven't. And I'm like, have I drunk water? And it's like, I haven't really had much. Right. And I can literally like scull then, quarter to half a liter of water and my bowels straight away move. Like, well, straight away I can feel it, that changing just from hydration. And I think a lot of people, like Nicola said before, a lot of people are taught that, some people go every 2 days, some people go every 3 days. It just depends on the bowel. And I'm like, my response to that is, how many meals are you eating a day? And where do you think that's going then, if you're only going to the toilet once every 2 or 3 days?
Yeah.
And so what about, like, obviously fiber is a really important element to excretion. Like, do you focus on how much fiber you have, or is it just like?
Yeah, and I'm a strong believer now, so you guys are going to hate me, but I went vegan for 5 years and was absolutely psychotic. And then I started eating animal fat and animal protein again, and it helped my bowels so much. So I believe that we need a well-balanced diet, lots of hydration, no processed food. Processed food's anything that comes from a packet. You guys should probably know that. Everyone should.
Yeah.
But you just need to keep our food clean and organic.
Yeah, I agree. I think a balance is good. Like for me personally, I know sometimes I eat too much fiber, like it's out of balance in a sense, to have something to balance it out. And I try and bring things into my diet to balance that out, because I think you can have too much of anything. It's like people saying vegetables can't make you fat. Of course they can, like, of course, anything, there is so much, that saying you can't have too much of a good thing. And it's like, well, anything can become poison to you. Right. And that's even a seemingly positive emotion can eventually become poison if it's out of balance. Everything in life is about balance, right? So if you're not in balance and doing something to an extreme, then sooner or later it'll show up just like it does in nature.
So what do you do when you're like, let's say, because let's pretend, and I'm going to pretend that there's 90% of the population is stressed. What would you do in a circumstance of wanting to go, okay, well, I'm not regularly going to the shit, going to the toilet and doing a poo or two. What would you do?
So first of all, we need to focus on our breathing. So lots of people, when they go to the toilet, they sit there and they try and strain. I'm looking after a cat here, sorry.
No, hi cat.
Lots of people strain. we work on our deep belly breath. So belly rising as we inhale, belly sinking. That opens up our gut and gives us space to get our peristalsis moving, but it also calms us down. So if we're in a state of relaxation, we're more likely to poop. So that's the first thing. And then sleep is so important. Like we need to get our circadian rhythm sorted.
And just to explain what circadian rhythms are.
So making sure we're not eating too late. So we want to eat at least 2 hours before bed, not going to bed too late, and we want to be waking up with the sun. So down, we're resting, digesting, we're sleeping, we're waking up with the sun.
And you're breathing. Are you breathing when you're on the toilet? Or are you breathing like, you're doing good
dramatic breathing? Yeah.
Belly breaths.
Yeah, we want to do that as much as we can, but especially when we're sitting on the toilet, making sure our feet are raised, so our knees are above our hips. Yeah. And those deep belly breaths, almost holding your breath out for a second at the top and then sinking. And that just creates space.
Yeah. So what have you done in terms of obviously your gut health? Because, Beanie and I went on a bit of a path of gut health, and we did things like, we weren't vegan at the time, but we did bone broth. I think I did a vegan plant one actually, based on seaweed, which was pretty full on, but did that. And what else did we do? We do fasting. We do obviously fasting, intermittent fasting, and fasting generally.
Slippery elm, psyllium, like heaps of different things. We've done so many things over the years. So.
Yeah. How do you maintain your gut performance? Like what's your go-to?
Yeah. So fasting is super important. Every day, if you can, you want to eat in a smaller window and making sure we're not eating too close to bed. But yeah, bone broths first thing in the morning, so good for getting that system lubricated. The slippery elm, the psyllium husk mixed together. If you're feeling a little bit backed up, you can have a tablespoon of each, mix it in some water, let it sit for 10 minutes on the bench, and then drink that. That should get your bowels moving. For me, I take apple cider vinegar first thing in the morning because my hydrochloric acid is so low from just years of suffering with an eating disorder. So that helps to increase your hydrochloric acid to get your enzymes and your gut working to break down your food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's just talk, because I didn't know this. Is it cool to talk about? Okay, great. Because that's, that fucks your body.
Yeah.
Real good. Like, if you're going to fuck your body, body weightlifting, or that will do it. Tell us what, because with that extremity of in behavior, right? Or disorder, you're limiting your body to function, and metabolize, right? So everything just kind of shuts down. Is that correct? Like it as you get older. And so when you go to doctors, they go, well, let's say you've had a disorder, they go, well, literally you'll have a, sorry, you go.
Take this pill.
Yeah. But also they'll say you'll have a metabolizing rate, or metabolic rate of, let's say, a 50-year-old and you're 30, or 20, how long did you have a disorder for? And do you find your body, because can I ask how old you are?
Yeah, 35.
Do you find your body is metabolizing like a 35-year-old would, or what would you attribute to those steps in correcting such an impact on your body?
So for me, I still struggle with my relationship with food. So I started with bulimia when I was 16 years old, and then it's been on and off throughout my life, throughout my entire life. So my body was just always so used to food coming up as opposed to going down. So it's almost like I've trained my body not to process food. So it's been a long, hard journey for me to try and hit that. I mean, I work in this industry as well, so it's been even like more challenging, struggling with imposter syndrome. But it's been a lot of
syndrome. Imposter syndrome. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
But it's been a lot of deep work for me. Releasing that trauma that I had around food and struggling with that addiction and that coping mechanism. Yeah.
It's so challenging. Thanks for talking about it, Krystie,
for
on that ad hoc little jump on there. Hang on, what did you just say? Let's talk about that. Winding back. I had that, like when I was talking before about all the different things I tried for my own health to get stuff. And as a kinesiologist, and for me, like we have this photo on our stairs that's Nicola and myself and our two old staffies like sitting on here. And it just, every time I see it, I remember how inflamed I was back then. And I literally from here up, like I was bright red, and people would always go, oh, you've been out in the sun, or you look really sunburned or whatever. And it was one of those things, like I couldn't hide it from anything because it was right there. And so that imposter syndrome in kinesiology, like sitting there helping people with health and sitting there going, I'm like doing the enemas, I'm doing that. I was doing everything, you name it, I'd done it. And gut health, like to the point of like I was doing bone marrow broth because I was like, bone broth's okay, but I could do bone marrow broth and get 10 times the fat, until I started getting like heart palpitations, and then the heart, like I went to the doctors to check it, and he said, you need to go and get a, whatever the thing is again, the CKG or whatever it is. Anyway, and I didn't go because I was like, I know what's happening here. And I stopped, I just pulled back from the marrow broths, and that was good. That all went away. But like, yeah, so I relate totally to what you're saying about that imposter syndrome, because when you're in an industry where you're helping people, I mean, there's a whole segue here, which I won't go into, but I firmly believe that people don't need to, pardon the pun, have their shit together to be able to be of great service or even greater service to others, because the connection and the understanding
and your humility
and for all of it is just, it's so much greater than someone that's just read a book on something and then telling you what to do.
100%.
Like you're here, you're doing it because of your journey, right? And it's been helpful to you, and now you can know and trust firsthand that what you're doing for other people is beautiful. So thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And sharing. I have a question, segue, less serious. I know, like you mentioned before about the vegan thing. So when we had our restaurant, the plant-based restaurant, we used to have people coming in, and there'd always be that person that's part of a table that thinks it's really funny to come out with a steak joke, or like no one's ever said it before, no one's ever heard it. Do you ever get people coming in and like, are there poo jokes? Like, because I can imagine people being uncomfortable about like having the colonics, and then I don't know.
Yeah, like
have you had a shit day? Or
that's a shitty job, isn't it? Yeah.
Anyone come in today who's a bit full of shit? Yeah.
But the big cool thing is, I can tell people like, you are so fucking full of shit, and they pay me for it. So I'm like,
that's true. It's good to know that you're no longer full of shit. What's the weirdest thing? Because you would have seen a lot of things, and I don't know if you can tell me if you're not allowed to say it because of client confidentiality, but I'm sure a worm's a worm and a parasite's a parasite. What's the craziest thing that you've seen come out of someone's mouth?
Piece of Lego.
Bits of Lego.
Piece of Lego, like a little blue brick.
Wow.
Really? What color was it?
Blue. Yeah.
And what did you do?
It's like a 40-year-old male. We just like looked at each other. Like I had to pipe up his ass. I looked at him. I was like, "Did you see that?" And he was like, "Yeah." He had no idea how it got there.
Wow.
Because you can
That's
see it coming through a tunnel, can't you? It goes somewhere.
Yeah, so where I have it set up, I've got a camera set up and there's a TV screen in front of you, so you can see everything on the TV straight away as it comes out.
You're like the opposite of the dentist that gives you like whales and dolphins and underwater images. You've got an underwater image, but it's not the one I want to see when I'm
Why do you think that I know talking about it isn't the most, people frown upon it, but I guess, it's such an important indicator to our health. Like, it's such an important indicator. Like, I'm telling you, people, if you've got bad shit literally happening, coming out of your ass on a regular basis, and I can come from that because I swear to God, I had irritable bowel for fucking years, and it took a long time to heal it. Like, nothing was, and I think that, gluten, obviously those kind of things, bad diets, we kind of just pushed all that shit to side. And I know that we get stressed, and I know we're, most of the time overwhelmed because we've got fucking so much debt and life going on and kids and whatever the fuck else we've jammed our lives with. Why is it, what can we do to kind of bridge that gap? Or what do you feel is something that we can, what would you like to see happen besides everyone just talking about shit?
You mean like how we can properly heal our gut? You mean?
Yeah.
It's the food and the water quality and the food quality and what we're putting in. And also, we've got teeth and we should be chewing everything into a liquid before we swallow it. Like 99% of people, I see whole pieces of mushrooms and corn and undigested food come out. Like, we just need to slow down.
Yeah.
Make food a ceremony and a ritual, and think about nourishing ourselves. And I'm saying this like I'm talking to myself right now, so it's good to.
I think you're talking to everyone. Like, it's a chew. I used to say to people, like, if you chewed 50 times before you swallowed something, you can see what opportunity you're giving your digestive system, because by the time you're finished, like, unless it's a piece of steak, which takes a bit longer, but still the size of that food, if there's still anything left, because like that process of just like the stages of digestion, even the thought before you pick it up is a stage, right? And then, but in the mouth, you think about the esophagus, and it's such a narrow thing, and we're just like, working the turkey through kind of vibe, rather than stopping. And it's like, there's a saying I used to say to people, like, drink your food and chew your water. So you're just having those moments and presence with it. Another thing is, I know we're talking about a lot of physical stuff, but do you have much relationship with clients and conversations around the emotions of the bowel? Obviously, for myself, kinesiology trained, everything has an emotion behind it, and a meridian and chakra, whatever, and energy and everything else. But that emotional space, like you said before, like, I mean, even stress is going to change what your bowels do. And it can, I know when you said it, it sounded like almost like a constipation, but, irritable bowel and everything else can come through as a stress. And pretty much everything, I mean, the immune and digestive and nervous system are all connected, right? And there's still, there's a beautiful book called Molecules of Emotion. I don't know if you've ever read it, by Candace Pert, and they did that. I can't remember what it's called, something immuno. Anyway, it's the connection between the three of those. And they, in this book, they couldn't tell you which came first at that stage, like from their research. It was like there was emotions in all areas, in all systems of those three, but they couldn't tell you which one triggered the other one. Like, they couldn't prove that, the brain said, you're feeling this emotion, therefore I'm going to make the guts feel like this, like it was present all at the same time. So I guess I have like a whole bunch of emotions that are angled towards the large intestine. So if people came to you and said, and you could see that they were really stressed or whatever, like what do you see in that, the emotional side of it?
Well, it's actually my favorite part of being a colon therapist, is that holding space for people. And I'll just give you one example I had today. I had a woman on the table. She was 71, actually. She looked phenomenal, and nothing was coming out.
What's that? It's because she has colonics. She looks wonderful.
And she, nothing was coming out, and I didn't say anything, and I didn't do anything, and I just kind of stayed silent. And then, it might have been 30 seconds went past, and she goes, I've been having these really weird, vivid dreams for the past week. And then she started talking about them. And then she started talking about how it was reflecting in her life. And then she went into this whole story about her life and how she's turned it upside down and following her heart and blah, 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 blah. And this shit that just started come flying out of her, like, I was like, yes. Like,
that's amazing.
And it happens all the time. Like, if you give people that space and that opportunity just to go within, they'll figure it out for themselves.
And to let go as well, right? Like, physiologically and emotionally, like, to let go. I had a years and years ago. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was saying in that surrender piece, like that giving up control on the colonic table and just surrendering to the process and trusting it.
You reminded me of a client years and years ago, who had lost an immense amount of weight, like been in and out of hospitals, and there was like that. I can't even remember how many kilos that she'd lost, but she was tiny when she came in, and every part of medicine was saying, there's nothing wrong with you. We can't find anything wrong with you. It's all in your head. It's like whatever. And anyway, apparently I'd helped her daughter months prior or something. And so she's like last resort, because that's what everyone does with kinesiology, last resort, came to see me. And it was actually all emotional. And it was a compensation for one of her children who was severely constipated to the point where she was in hospital a lot of the time because of emotional stuff. And the mum was so worried about her and trying to compensate that she couldn't, like, she'd eat it and it would just go straight through her. And we did a whole balance around it. And this is why I say the power of emotions and physiology, because she emailed me 24 hours later and she said, I don't even know. And she was very religious. Like very religious. So to the point where I was very careful of how I said things, because, kinesiology, woo-woo, energy, like all of that sort of stuff. And she's like, I don't even need to know, like, or know what happened. But she said, I just did my first solid, like, poo in months.
Wow.
Like in months. But none of that could have happened unless she actually chose to let go. And her realization of what she was creating by doing that, thinking she was helping someone else, right? Like hanging on to that. Wow. It's so powerful. But I find the bowel one of the most powerful emotions, and it shows up a lot in kinesiology because of self-doubt and self-loathing, and and powerless, and powerful is in there as well, of course, but it tends to be like self-doubt, self-loathing, and powerless in the large intestine, and letting go of shit. Like when you're hanging on to stuff that you don't want to let go of, like there's a whole bunch of emotions, but they're the main ones that show up in those spaces. And I think it's really apt for what it does as an organ.
Yeah, it definitely resonates. Yeah.
I remember back in the day, metaphysically, it's that term hanging on to shit, or someone's a pain in your ass, perfect paraphrasing, because that's essentially what happened in my case, where I had a discord with my family, and 18 months I had fissures.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And literally every time I went to the toilet, I thought about my family and how much I love them dearly and how painful they are in my life. And it took 18 months to heal. Yeah. It was so traumatic. And
it's very traumatic. I remember it.
And ironically, you look up the metaphysical of fissures, and actually pregnant people get them a lot, apparently. Did you know? Yeah. But and it's common, for the family to cause that kind of trauma in that area. I think it's a gnarly. I wish to never experience that again. But moving on to something I recently experienced, and this is thanks to you, because you're actually doing a parasite cleanse at the moment. Yeah.
So now we're doing a parasite cleanse.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. We do a cleanse every year of something, normally heavy metals and stuff.
Probiotic foods. They're up at
Yeah, I stock their products. Yeah.
Really good. What's our first parasite cleanse? We've done parasite cleanse.
We've done so many parasite cleanses. I was a parasite fiend.
I haven't done this one yet.
Oh, it's really good.
Okay.
It tastes good. And I felt things almost straight away. We've done quite a few parasite cleanses over the years. I've taken Nicola through a lot of experiments.
Yeah. So does that mean you've got to come for a drive up and have a colonic to support your guts in this parasite cleanse?
Well, I think I might, because the last time I had a colonic was when I first moved up to Brisbane. When I say last time, that's the only time I've had one, because then I did my own at home enema series that I did continuously. And I bought it for myself for the first year I came up. I bought it for myself for Christmas. And it was quite a horrendous experience, because back then I didn't even realize that I wasn't going to the toilet as much as I thought I was. I thought I was fine. I didn't, but like, she put the hose in, which goes, and you just try and relax as much as possible, and then try not to need to go to the toilet. And I was straight away, I was like, I can't. Like, I was like, things had to come out, and then I don't even know what happened, but then the hose, everything came out. Like, everything came out from the hose. She had to stop. She's like, okay, well, stop, don't worry. So she's like, let me go to her toilet. So I spent the colonic session pretty much sitting on the toilet next to the colonic table, like in the side room, waiting, because she goes, maybe we just need to let some come out until you're ready for it or whatever. And so it wasn't a proper experience. So I'd probably like to have another experience, and I'd like to see, because I get really jealous because I've done so many parasite cleanses. And even I had just done a parasite cleanse, I think probably 6 weeks before I went to Peru in like 2014. Then I got over there, caught up with a friend. She's like, I'm going to do a parasite cleanse before we do medicine. Do you want to do it with me? And I'm like, sure. So I did that as well. Like, we did a bowel cleanse and a parasite cleanse. Then I did plant medicine for the first time, and had the most horrendous physical experience, and spent 3 hours on a white 10-liter tub, those like paint tubs or whatever. Yeah. Like 3 hours just sitting there, because I was just releasing through my bowels until I stood up, and then turned around and had to throw up in the same bucket, which was horrendous as well. But there was huge things around the bowel for me. So I haven't, other than my own enemas, I have not been to a colonic. So I will come up.
Can I say something on that? So what you experienced, you probably went to a machine colonic, where they basically, there's a little machine set up and the water's kind of forced into you.
Yeah, it was.
So what I do is I like to call it, it's an intuitive style of colonic. I can adjust my technique to suit the client, and there's no water being forced into you. It's gravity fed, so it's like a glorified enema. But then it's our technique, therapist. So we can angle the tube to help you release. We can pulse it. Like, there's so many things that we can do to support you in releasing and not leaking and getting shit everywhere. I definitely highly recommend. I'm the best. So
that's it. Wait, say it again.
I'm the best. She's clean.
I feel like you can I can quantify that. Well, I just recently, obviously with the parasite cleanse, I thought I'll fucking get this done. Went to this, and absolutely lovely. First of all, I want to ask, put in the pipe up the bum, because it was very similar. It was that machine. It was really tender around my anus.
Okay.
Do you reckon I might have? Is it? Huh?
Did they go too fast? And
no, she was being really gentle. But do you reckon I might have internal hemorrhoids or something?
You might do, and we do have numbing cream that we can just pop in there and let it numb a little bit if it is a bit uncomfortable.
So note to people, if you're afraid of getting your
okay, well,
they have numbing cream.
She did a lot of numbing cream. I went to the toilet after, and there's wads of phone cream coming out my ass. I'm like,
that might have been the lube. That could have been the lube she used.
Oh, right. Okay.
Nicholas' description.
What is some of the finger? You put it in with the finger, and then we put the tube in.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then I have another question.
Nicola
right?
thinks it's about that big from the way she came home. She's like, I don't know what that.
Yeah. Really? That small?
Yeah. Oh, it's probably about the size, a little bit bigger than my thumb.
Wow. Crazy. Okay.
I feel like that's enough though. Like,
yeah, no,
you know,
I'm not, I don't want any bigger, let me tell you. Okay. But the next question I have, right? So over the last 2 days, right, my guts have been really, they feel inflamed.
They're like gassy. What came out in the colonic? Do you know? Like, what happened?
Oh, she said that she saw a parasite. She was pretty new at it, so I don't know how much knowledge she has as a background. But she said I was having enough fiber. She said there was definitely some adrenal stuff there, just from the color from the stool. And I would say that would be YCA, and then. Yeah, I mean, she didn't say just a couple of parasites. She didn't really say anything specific, but my internal track has definitely been feeling a bit inflamed after. And I'm like, what would cause that?
Yeah, it's always good to do 2 or 3 colonics close together, because sometimes that first one just gurgles everything up.
Scratches the surface, so to speak.
Yeah, and then it's good to get in there and do the deep cleaning with the second or the third. So you've probably just the water's gone in there. It's disrupted a whole lot of shit in there, basically. It's just struggling to come out.
It is struggling to come out, and that's a really good point. And I think what I need to do is have some psyllium husk, because since then, it's been really like it's not happening.
Yeah. Get the slippery elm there too, just to help with the mucous membrane in the gut.
Okay, that's a good one, doctor. I like that. Thank you for that.
Segue back to my story, because I got sidetracked. I told you all these other stories instead of the story at hand, was why I'm jealous and why I'll come and see you, because people do parasite cleansers and all this stuff, and they show these pictures of these like magnificently huge parasites, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I've done so many cleansers, and I know like parasites I've had in the past are like blood like ones, so you can't even really see them because they're so tall, so small. But like, yeah, I would love it. Like, I know when people do parasite cleansers, they go, have you seen anything come out? And they're like, I don't look. And I'm like, oh my God, how could you do a parasite cleanser and not turn around after you've gone to the toilet just to see if there's.
That's crazy.
I'm not telling them to grab it and look through it for one, but it's like,
do you find
parasite cleansers?
What was that?
I will serve in my toilet when I have bowel movements, when I'm doing a cleanse, to catch anything.
Yeah. And do you see when you do a parasite cleanse, have you found parasites?
Oh, fuck yes.
Right. How big?
So I've had one come out in a colonic, which would have been like,
what?
A big tapeworm. I've had heaps of them. Yeah.
So would you say it's quite common?
That's
right?
I'm coming. I'm coming to
Is it quite? It's quite common, right?
Yeah.
So common. Yeah. So when you're immune, we all live with parasites. When your immune system gets low, or your good gut bacteria is out of balance, like they'll just take over.
Yeah.
And we feed them sugar and the carbohydrates, and they love that.
And even too, like I've had people with like candida and parasites at the same time, because it's the same, it's very similar, right? I know one's fungus, one's a parasite, but there's the same triggers, the same food, the same, like very similar responses. Parasites can create other stuff as well, but like depending on how it tests up to do stuff with them, because the treatments will cross over, but sometimes like the candida will get really aggravated when the parasite cleanser's having, like after the parasite cleanser's done, not aggravated, but in heightened, because that space is there, like it's like if your good bacteria isn't there, then that creates, like you said, that room for the fungus or parasite to grow. And then if you have both and then you take the fungus away, then the parasite's got room, or vice versa.
Yeah. You target them at the same time.
Yeah.
You want at them at the same time?
I've had to do separate once or twice, just purely because it was so much on the, do you know what I mean, on their body.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they are the detoxes are very similar.
Yeah. And it's good to do like 2 cleanses back to back. So have a break in between. So then if there's anything still in there and they think that especially parasites will come back out to play, and then you just bam and kill them again with the second phase.
Is there any reason why you decided to do a parasite cleanse particularly?
Yeah, so I was just craving sugar like crazy, and I started getting this, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got like this fungal overgrowth on my toenail.
Yeah.
So I know I've got a fungal overgrowth going on, probably got a parasite as well.
Yeah.
And guys at the Sunny Coast, they're called Corrective Culture, and I've had a heap of clients come in and do this cleanse with such great results. So I had FOMO, so that's why I'm doing
That was
it.
the one that Nic saw you doing, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's a 28-day cleanse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's with the anus in the sun?
No, I just started doing that because I loved it, but then I actually looked into it, and they say 30 seconds of getting your asshole in the sun like increases your dopamine and serotonin. So, and you know what,
I heard that actually.
your mood just like changes. It's like a state change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you say? 30 seconds.
No, I haven't tried it yet.
30 seconds. You got to spread your cheeks. It's better if you can get your yoni in the sun as well, so you can get it all, all up there.
That sounds so cool.
And
And so you've noticed a difference?
Yeah, I do it all the time. I've got a bit of sun. I'm bending over and pulling my pants down.
So is this like a on all fours kind of like thumb in the air, like downward dog, or is it more of a like shoulder stand, overhead stretch?
It's more of a like I'll stand on my like this.
Yeah.
Spread.
Yeah. So your head between your legs and your bum in the air.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a crack for sure.
I don't know why you haven't.
Well, I saw it and I went, that's a fucking
She
weird
probably
thing
has,
to do, but
just
I
not
love
to the
it.
sun, not directly to the sun. I'm sure that if she thought maybe because she got confused and thought I was the sun sometimes, and thought it would be a funny move. But yeah, I think next time she can try it on a sunny day.
I will definitely. We don't have a lot of sun. The neighbours might have to bear a cock to my anus, but you know what? For the good of a state-altering experience.
Did you just say bear cock to your anus?
bear witness.
Witness.
Yeah.
It's like the neighbours might have to bear cock to my anus.
Now you're scary.
I don't know what she does when I'm not here.
Thank you so much about this conversation. I mean, I just think it's just such an important conversation we need to be having, and I just love what you do in this space because you push the umbrellas, so to speak, open. And I really would love us all just to start talking more about this and getting to know more about what is actually happening in the gut. In fact, I was talking to our friends, we were playing pickleball just yesterday, and I'm always the one to, and they're quite, I guess, recluse. They're not as boisterous as what I am in terms of talking about things that probably make people shy away. But I think that's where we need to go, right?
Yeah, we do. And I just want to add, so many people that struggle with like anxiety, they come and have a couple of colonics and they notice how they can just handle things so much better. When we clean the gut out. Yeah.
I just had a slogan pop into my head that you could maybe get some t-shirts that say, "Are you too cool to look at your stool?"
Ooh. I like that.
Or do you think you're too cool to look at your stool?
Do you on your website, do you mention about the emotional
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, amazing. Because again, the gut and the stool and how it represents what's happening in your body is just so true, right?
Yeah, our second brain or our third brain. We've got 3 brains, don't we? Heart, gut, brain.
Heart, what is it?
Heart, brain, gut, brain,
brain.
Brain.
Hey,
do you want to know a fun fact? You said before about not having like hydrochloric acid and stuff. Do you know the relationship between zinc and hydrochloric acid?
No.
So you can't, the body, it's like this fucked up thing that like, when you go, if you believe in God or creation or whoever created us, like what they were thinking at the time, because your body needs zinc to make hydrochloric acid, but your body can't assimilate. So hydrochloric acid needs zinc.
Yep.
But then the body can't assimilate zinc without hydrochloric acid.
Oh, fuck.
That sounds, yeah. That's
crazy, right?
That's our body, right? Very complex, very complex. Thank you today. Krystie, do you want to mention anything else?
Yeah, come see the best for a colonic.
Exactly where in Brisbane?
So North Brisbane, Albany Creek. So it's about 20 minutes north of the city.
Yeah.
So
what are you doing 6 a.m. Wednesday morning?
I can do 6 a.m. Wednesday morning. If you're going to come up, I would more than happy going to the clinic.
I'm going to drop Nicola at the airport at like 5:30 or something.
You could hang around for a bit.
Oh, I forgot. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll see. I've got to work. We'll be in touch after this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to also say that if you are in Brisbane, go see Krystie, Gravity, Colonics Therapy, colon therapy, depending on how you want to say it. She is the best in the business, as we've, discovered here today. And Krystie, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge and wisdom. And if you have any questions on this, you can reach out to us directly and we will share Krystie's details with you. Because we need to be looking after our gut and we need to be looking after what comes out of our anus.
We need to shit more. Much more.
Much more. We do.
Well, not too much.
Not too much. There's a balance.
There's a balance. But, talking shit is not a bad thing. And I think we should all do it more. And thank you so much, because it's I don't know. I think it's exciting. And I think if people understood it more, they wouldn't be so scared of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. Good
point.
Not
scary at all. Like, it's not scary.
Yeah.
Unless it shows up in places it shouldn't, like, I don't know, walking your dog. I had a moment today when the bag didn't work so well, and I was like, I didn't need that.
Oh, the dog poo. That's a separate scenario. Anyway, I'm just going to stop right now. So if you've liked talking shit with us today, like and subscribe and share. And keep your hands clean from your bum. Use toilet paper.
Tell your friends, if anyone has been constipated lately, either go to Gravity,
Krystie, up at Northern Brisbane, or just reach out.
Or share this podcast, because I think it's an enlightening, especially having Sun from Uranus. But on Uranus, I should say, not from, but you could be from too. Anyway, please subscribe if you haven't. Share it with your friends. It's important to talk about poo. We love you all. Thank you again, Krystie, for coming. And we shall see you all on the other side.
Yeah.